So August SMMT figures have now been announced for new car registrations, and supposedly new electric car registrations have risen to 22.6%, a bit of a suspicious figure given that it's right on the 22% target as outlined by the government for the 2024 zero emission vehicle mandate. Now I'm going to say it right now. This figure, as outlined for new electric car registrations, is simply a lie, and we'll get into why that's the case in this video. But first off, welcome back to you. Thank you so much for joining. If you do enjoy this kind of content, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and golden rule, please do leave your thoughts in the comments section below. We've had some really good discussions on videos just like this in the comments, so yes, please let me know your thoughts. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that the SMMT are reporting the figures incorrectly or giving us wrong figures. What I am saying here is that those figures for new electric car registrations are very likely quite misleading. This is an article that was published in the Telegraph this week. Let me get into this, it'll give you a bit of background as to what I'm saying here, and then we'll have some discussion after that. So, petrol cars rationed to meet climate change targets. Car makers are delaying the delivery of petrol cars until next year as they express fears they will breach quotas set for them by the government, Robert Forrester, chief exec of Vertu Motors, said. Mr. Forrester says this means that someone ordering a new car now may not receive it until February next year. It's February 2025. In some franchises, there's a restriction on supply of petrol cars and hybrid cars, which is actually where the demand is. And if we look at the SMMT figures and read between the lines, we can see that for ourselves. It's almost as if we can't supply the cars that people want, but we've got plenty of the cars that maybe they don't want. They, the manufacturers, are trying to avoid the fines. So they're constraining the ability for us to supply petrol cars in order to try and keep to the government targets. Now, for the uninitiated here, what he's referring to is that massive £15,000 fine per car sold, which doesn't meet the ZEV, zero emission vehicle mandate. Essentially, that means every combustion engine equipped vehicle, doesn't matter if it's a hybrid, doesn't matter if it's some super efficient novel fuel combustion engine, none of it counts towards it. All of them would be liable for that £15,000 fine, unbelievably. So for those who say that the SMMT figures show that people do want electric cars and electric cars are on the up, they're on the rise, and we do get them, we get them in the comments section on some of the previous videos, you maybe need to think again, because it looks like it's not necessarily the demand for combustion engine equipped cars which is on the decline, but rather it's the supply of them that's dwindling. They're closing off the supply tap, although the demand is still there. If you choke off petrol and diesel supply, then clearly I think the prices will probably go up. And actually, used car prices will definitely go up. But also, I'm at a dealership in North Shields and North Tyneside right now, and we could get to the situation where someone walks through the door wanting to buy a petrol car and we might not be able to supply one. How unbelievable is that? Mr. Forrester's warnings echo remarks by bosses from Ford and Vauxhall owner Stellantis in recent weeks, who criticised the government for imposing ZEV mandate targets that appeared to be ahead of consumer demand. Both Ford and Stellantis have warned that they could restrict car sales to the UK if they're at risk of breaching the rules. So, a very comprehensive mess altogether. We've got manufacturers who may be forced to choke the supply of the cars that we actually want here in the UK. We've got manufacturers who are considering the possibility of doing less business here in the UK. How is that a good thing? We're facing a very real possibility of used car prices spiralling because the demand remains strong, meanwhile the supply starts to dwindle. It's unbelievable. All the while we're being told, just take a look at the SMMT figures, they clearly show that the public want electric vehicles, otherwise it wouldn't be climbing. Yeah, right. And you know what? Perhaps the most frustrating part about this altogether is it could be so easily avoided It sounds obvious, but what the government need to do here is take a look at the alternatives when it comes to reducing emissions. It's so laser focused on these battery equipped electric vehicles. Meanwhile, European countries, especially France and Germany, they're having good success with hydrogen and heavy vehicles. You've also got these e-fuels, these synthetic fuels that have come on such a long way in such a short time period, but they do wonders for reducing emissions. Okay, it's a slightly expensive option, but then all of this shift to net zero and ZEV mandate isn't exactly cheap. It's going to cost us dearly. There's no chance at the moment of any of these novel technologies or amazing new efficient engine technologies getting a foothold or getting any traction here in the UK with the ZEV mandate, because if you choose to do anything other than put out an electric lithium-ion battery-equipped car, you're going to get hit with a fine. It just seems so backwards to me. And I also think the other consequence that's going to happen here, it's going to make people hang on to their older cars for longer. But, you know, if you are looking for a new car, here is a handy service that I can let you in on. Visit Vehicle Score. This is completely free, by the way. Put the plate of the car that you're thinking about buying into their service. It'll tell you the good and bad points for completely free. This is really handy if, like me, you're going to continue to buy petrol and diesel cars for some time to come. But yes, this just all seems very backwards. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Please do remember to subscribe, hit like, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.